Good morning, folks. This is Mr. Dan coming from the landscape design classroom, and today I'm going to be talking to you about understanding our forest resources. So our main idea here, how can we benefit from forests without destroying them? U.S. forests are a valuable resource, a source of lumber, paper, and other wood products, a place for recreational activity, also valuable for environmental reasons. So how forests improve the environment: improved water quality by reducing soil erosion by water sources, improved air quality by absorbing CO2 and trapping dust, reducing loss of soil resources by wind and water, wildlife habitat, and beauty for rural and urban landscapes. So what is a forest? At least 1 acre in size and at least 10% in trees, or formerly in trees and not currently developed for non-forest use. If you take a look at the picture on the right, it's a forest, the Superior National Forest in Minnesota. So best of all, forests are renewable. Forest renewal continues to take place. Trees can and are being planted to get new forests started. Forests can become reestablished by themselves through a process called succession. Just a note here that one of the best practices, if we are going to be using forests, is to replant. It's kind of like that circle of life I'm always talking about. So who owns U.S. forest land? 58% is privately owned by individuals, families, tribes, partnerships, corporations, and private groups, more common in the North and South. 42% is publicly owned, federal, state, and local governments, more common in the Rocky Mountains and along the Pacific coast. So just to give you an idea of private and public forest lands, our public forest lands are located in blue. We have a lot more of those on the western side of the United States, and more forest ownership from private individuals is on the right side of our map here. So we're about down in this area of Pennsylvania here. So most of this is actually privately owned. So timberlands, about 514 million acres out of the 766 million acres of total forest lands. Forest land capable of producing commercial wood products, and timberland ownership, governments and private owners. Governments being 22% and private owners being 78%. So forests are renewable, many years to grow to maturity. How it takes place: trees planted to start new forests, or a natural process called succession. So what is succession? An orderly, predictable sequence of plant and animal communities from open land to forest land. And I know we've talked about this a little bit in some of our other lectures, but we're really going to hit on this today. A response to natural and artificial interruptions, and a powerful force requiring time. So this starts as grass and weeds, moving up to brush and shrubs, to smaller trees, and then to larger trees. And the further you move up, the more likely the stuff underneath that is going to be going away. So interruptions in forest succession happen in two ways: natural interruptions, wildfires, floods, droughts, volcanoes, and other disasters, and then artificial interruptions, clear cutting logs, dams on rivers, clearing land for any other purposes, and that is a man-made issue. So what happens during forest succession? One community of plants and animals is replaced with other communities over time. As an ecosystem matures, different types of trees and plants compete with each other for light, moisture, and plant nutrients. The best competitors win and become the dominant type. And then wildlife types change with the habitat. So a little more about natural succession. Only the most productive and strongest plants to survive. Grass, brush, shrubs, smaller trees, and finally larger trees become dominant. And if we take a look down at the bottom here, we have some dwarf fireweed, which is a pioneer species in Alaska, as one of the first plants to grow after a glacier retreats. So that is your first level of succession right there in the state of Alaska. So more about artificial succession, a predictable result of forest management practices, and some examples here are setting backfires to stop a wildfire, helicopter logging or steep slopes. Excuse me one moment, folks. And then leaving buffer strips along streams to control the temperature of the water. So stages of succession. Each sear is one step closer to a final stage called the climax stage. The climax stage is a relatively stable community of trees able to survive and be maintained under the existing climate. So let's take a look at a big one. Mount St. Helens volcanic explosion back in 1980, volcanic explosion, interruption, followed by a succession, complete devastation at the beginning, followed by a natural recovery in 3 stages. You have your pioneer species, sterile communities, and your climax community. So pioneer species, grasses and other hardy plant species, well-dispersed plants, rapid growth in full sun, stabilized and enriched soil. This usually takes about up to 10 years. So moving into sterile communities, this is where shrubs start to come in, sun-loving, longer life cycle, more extensive root systems, begins within 5 years and dominates for about 20 years, followed by rapidly growing trees, more nutrients and water required, and then shades out some shrubs. So this photo right here shows 24 years after the eruption, shows establishment of the next forest well underway, with few dead trees still standing. And then our climax community, our final stage of succession, dominated by shade-tolerant trees, at least 100 years to stabilize and become dominant. So this is not something that just is easy over time, like a short period of time. This may take hundreds of years to happen. So forests, a huge valuable resource, about a third of the total United States land, stable acreage for the past 100 years. Types of US forests, northeast and north central are oak hickory, maple beech birch, south pines, and then in the west we have Douglas firs. So some possible forest concerns: insects and diseases, fire, invasive weeds and plants, aging landowners and possible sales, and climate change. So as we know, out west, we have a lot of wildfires going on every year. That is a huge concern, and just how we treat our environment in any area in general, but out there, just being careful whenever doing stuff. Don't have any birthday parties out there now. So how forests change: natural growth and aging, natural forces, and then deforestation, which is long-term loss of forest cover, crops grazing, roads, homes, and parking lots. And then reforestation, natural regeneration of trees, which is succession, and planting new trees. So the bottom line here, forests are a highly valuable resource. Income from harvest forested products, recreation and environmental benefits, maximum benefits through protection and good management. And that is the end of my presentation here on the importance of forests. But if you have any questions about it, then give me a call down here in the landscape design classroom. I appreciate your time, folks. Have a great day.